afternoon once again. Good morning for those in California, and good evening to our friends across the oceans. If you're joining us from Boya or Bamenda or Douala, we welcome you. It's a pleasure to have you here today. My name is Jude Fokwang. I'm the publisher at Spears. I'll tell you a little bit about, if you're joining for the first time, I'll tell you a little bit about what Spears Books does. And then I would invite one of my team members to introduce the moderator for this event. So once again, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you. So Spears Books, if you're not familiar with it, is a leading publisher of Africana books. We publish fiction, poetry, drama, and nonfiction books. We are very proudly Afrocentric. We want to spread the African story as widely as possible. It's a global platform for everybody who is somehow connected to Africa to tell their story. And we were founded in 2014. So 2024 is actually our 10th anniversary. Woohoo! So we are super excited. We are celebrating throughout the year. And I'll be on the lookout for more communication from the press about ways in which we will celebrate this milestone. I want to also begin by acknowledging some of our team members who are here. So Walton Kui, all the way in Leiden. Thank you for being here. Collins, who is currently in Denver, but resident in Woodstock, Ontario, is also a team member. And the co-editor of the volume we're celebrating is also a celebrated member of our team all the way back from 2014. So we are all pleased to have you. If you happen to be a team member and we don't acknowledge you, we will do so in due course. I just don't know who is here and who is not here. But just so you know, we have a very robust editorial team. We are spread across the world from South Africa to Europe to Canada to the US and Cameroon, of course. So if you happen to have a manuscript and you're interested in having real professionals, people who take not just pleasure, but they are very rigorous about the process of getting your work published that meet international standards, we are the platform to think about. So I think with that said, I would like to remind our attendees that we also have our most recent catalog. And you can download a copy of that catalog from our website. During the course of this celebration, we will post that link. And so, yeah, do check us. And if you have any questions, if you have comments or feedback for us, we'll be happy to welcome those contributions. So I think I would pause here for now, and I would go ahead and welcome Collins Mulu to introduce our moderator. Over to you, Collins.
Great, thank you. So Mamua Jeme is our moderator today. She works for a renowned international organization where she is a language expert and a technical point of contact for diplomats and high-level dignitaries. She is co-founder of Cadre Global Coaching, a mentorship program comprising hundreds of kids with the vision of coaching and mentoring them to become young leaders of tomorrow. She is an avid advocate of transformation, empowering women and youth.
Thank you, Collins. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We are very excited to have you here today. I'm going to start off by thanking our brothers and sisters at Spears for the great work that they do, empowering the youth and women and men by publishing books and working and collaborating with different stakeholders to make sure that we stay on top of everything that we need to learn and know through books that are being published by this renowned group of Cameroonians. We keep on hearing that it is good to support your own. We're here to promote that we support our own. And today we are gathered here to celebrate our sisters, our mothers, our cousins, our aunties, and to celebrate two very incredible women who are making great strides in bringing the name of Cameroon forward in positive ways. We're going to be talking today about the launch of this incredible book called When the Sun Turns Red, Women's Tears from a Land in Despair. It is a poetry collection of about 41 poems written by incredible women on the ground from the Southwest and Northwest region. For those of you who are not Cameroonians, I'm going to just put things in perspective and say we've had some turmoil in our country for the last years, where there has been a struggle for the Anglophones to have their voice heard. And as former President Joyce Banda of Malawi said, the seeds of success in every nation on earth are best planted in women and children. How else can we invest in the future if we don't take care of the underprivileged? So that said, we're inviting you to be here with us. We would love to have an interactive session. Feel free to ask questions. Please use the Q&A section, because the chat section kind of runs a little bit fast, and we might not be able to catch all of those. So if you have any concerns or any questions you'd want to ask, please enter those in the Q&A section. We'll be able to pull those and answer them as we go forward. Now, let me just talk a little bit about the sun turning red. When does the sun turn red? During sunrise and during sunset. Why does the sun turn red? Scientists have told us that the sun turns red when there is smoke that clouds the brightness of the sun. Now, there has been smoke in Cameroon, in the southwestern part of Cameroon, or the western regions of Cameroon, southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon. And that's why this book is really well captured and titled When the Sun Turns Red. So the sun has been clouded by the smoke, and the sun will be bright again when that smoke clears out. That said, I'm just going to go over now to our very own Tangyie Suh Nfor, who is going to introduce our editors. Tangyie, the floor is yours. Could we unmute Tangyie? Yeah.
Tangyie, may we see your face?
Can you unmute, please?
Okay, sorry, I was trying to unmute. I don't know what was happening. Can you get me now?
Yes, we can, Tangyie. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Right, thank you, Madam Moderator.
If you can lift your face, your device up, we're only seeing half of your face.
Good.
Is that fine?
Better, yes.
That's better, yes.
Okay. I'd like to join you, Madam Moderator, in congratulating PS Media for the great work they are doing, and especially for this new baby. You've actually put us in perspective as far as the title is concerned. And the idea of women's tears is another symbolism that Africans know. When women shed tears, many things happen, and we hope that these tears will not go in vain. And thanks to these incredible authors that you have mentioned, we are able to have hope in the poems that are presented here. Our two incredible women are Salim Mboumien and Lilian Atanga. Salim Mboumien is an English language teacher currently wrapping up her PhD, in which she researches on women, peace, and security, focusing on the contributions of women and women-led organizations and institutional structures in implementing the UN Resolution 1325. She is a peace and security advocate, concerned citizen, teacher, and feminist from Bawok, Cameroon. Sally has been working to uphold sexual and reproductive health rights, especially for adolescent girls and young women, in ways that can grant them access to decision-making spaces. She recently won the German Africa Prize for Dialogue and Peace in 2023, together with other Cameroonian women working for peace. Sally envisages a society void of inequalities and social injustices, where the ideals of feminism, freedom of expression, and social inclusion are valued. That's Sally. Lilian Atanga. Lilian Atanga is an engaged associate professor of gender and discourse studies. She is formerly of the University of Bamenda and the University of Chang, and currently a visiting professor of the Pan-African University of Energy and Water Sciences, Telsum, Algeria, and a senior research fellow at the University of Free State, Bloemfontein, South Africa. She was a Fulbright scholar at the University of Florida, and since obtaining her PhD in linguistics from Lancaster University, UK, she has researched widely on language, gender, politics, and the media in African contexts. She has published extensively on women's political participation, women in the academy, women and media representations, and recently on women's representation and agency in armed conflicts. She has published monographs, edited volumes, books, academic articles in high-impact journals, and encyclopedias. Her publications include Gendered Discourses in the Cameroonian Parliament, 2010, Gender and Language in Sub-Saharan Africa, Tradition, Struggle, and Change, 2013, When the Sun Turns Red, Tears from a Land in Despair, 2022, A Gendered Academy, Women's Experiences from Higher Education in Cameroon, an International Journal of Sociology of Language, 2021, Gender, Ideologies, Leadership and Development in Cameroon, Georgetown Journal of International Affairs, and her most recent article, Blood, Tears, and the Keyboard, Women's Participation in the Conflict in the Southern Cameroons, Conflict. Oh, let me take that again. Her most recent article, Blood, Tears, and the Keyboard, Women's Participation in the Southern Cameroons Conflict in Fonkem Achankem, 2023, Porcupine in a Python's Throat, the Ambazonia Story in West Central Africa. As an engaged academic, Lilian extends her work to social activism and civil society. She's an active member of the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force, a board member of the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations, and many other community-based organizations which contribute to peace building and humanitarian activities. Lilian Atanga is also a recently decorated Nobel, Mboumien, in the Bafut Kingdom, a recognition to her contribution to the Bafut Kingdom. Moderator, these are our two editors.
Thank you so much, Tangyie. Thank you for that great introduction of these two very prominent and powerful women in our community. If we can just applaud the achievements of our sisters from the introduction that Tangyie just gave. Tangyie, thank you so much. I would like to call on both editors. I think Sally might have some connection problems. We know how erratic the internet is in Cameroon. She could not, maybe she will not be able to join, but let's invite Mboumien, Dr. Lilian Atanga, to introduce herself and tell us a little bit, a word from the editor, Dr. Lilian Atanga.
Thank you very much, Mamua. And thank you very much, Spears Media and the Spears team. I want to start by especially thanking the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force and its founder, who will be speaking very soon, Madame Esther Oman. Joyce Ashutanta and Dibusi Tande wrote, and I quote, "To write is to confront. To write is to remember. To write is to resist. To write is to testify. And to write is to heal." I found this quote so salient and so potent when I was doing this collection, because if we know the recent history of Cameroon, and especially of the English-speaking regions of the country, the Northwest and the Southwest regions, since 2016, there has been civil unrest, and since 2018, I think, there has been an armed conflict, and women were the primary victims. And after the founding of the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force, women of all ages, from all classes, from all backgrounds, from all religions and cultures, who happen to reside within that geographical space, decided to confront the evil that they witnessed. They decided to go using different means, physical means like the lamentation campaigns, social media like Facebook and Twitter, to fight the systems that were making life impossible for them. And one of the campaigns that the women led was a social media campaign on Facebook, which was to write their pain through poetry. It should be noted that poetry is a very academic and, should I say, literate activity where you need to be able to put words on paper. And not every woman in that group was a literary person, but it doesn't matter who you are, pain is pain and everyone feels pain. So at that moment, they decided to carry out their activism by writing that pain using the medium of poetry, or the genre of poetry and Facebook as a media. So after all of this were written, I asked the question, as someone who seeks to make spaces available for voices to be heard, and voices, especially of women in conflict situations, voices of women who are not only victims, but who are actors in the ensuing conflict that is happening, women whose husbands, whose brothers, whose sons are either Amber Boys or are in the Cameroon military, women who face death at every point, women who are sleeping in the bushes, women who have become people who bury corpses, which is not a traditional thing for women. I thought transforming these poems, which were on Facebook, into a document that is publishable, which is physical, which is durable, would be something that will capture, encapsulate, and store these voices and archive these voices. Because these are things that could be peripheral. The pain may be forgotten. And going back to the quote from Ashutanta and Tande, we want to remember this pain, but we also want to resist the causes of this pain by testifying to that pain. And in that testimony, some healing does happen. It may not be complete healing, but it's like a catharsis to the pain that women feel. And I want to particularly thank every woman, every SNOT woman who took out the time to write this. Because without this, we will not be sitting here. This work is your work. I am only, and Sally, we are only the people who brought it together, put it together. We don't own the work. You own the work, and not just you. You are the voice of every other woman who has lived in that geographical space and who feels that pain, who's buried a brother, a husband, a sister, a child. I think every woman is impacted in one way or another. I want to thank PS Media particularly for giving us the opportunity to have this work in the format that we are celebrating today. And for those of you who've come to listen to us, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lilian Atanga. Thank you very much for telling us how important it is to celebrate our women, to celebrate each other, for our brothers to join us and listen to our plea and our cry. And as you said, this is poetry is a literary genre and work, and these poems were put together by ladies who are not as educated as some of those, as you and Sally are, but they're able to do a free verse and capture their feelings and emotions and their cry for help in this difficult situation. As I earlier said, the co-editor, Sally Mboumien, is unfortunately not with us today because of technical problems. We're going to transition now to poetry reading. First, we're just going to play a little song to kind of get us grounded before we start reading some poetry. Thank you so much, our dear technical team. Change is what we are seeking. Change is what we're pleading for. Change is what we need to see for generations to come to be better. And as Dr. Lilian Atanga said, we thank the ladies of SNOT. We thank all the women as sisters and brothers and aunts and cousins and mothers who have put this literary work together. And as Lilian said, as Dr. Lilian Atanga, forgive me if I keep referring to her as Lilian, it's not out of me not paying due respect. It's just because I can claim that I'm kind of familiar with her, guys. So I just call her Lilian, forgive me for that. But Dr. Atanga said, Dibusi Tandyang and Joyce Ashutang said, to write is to heal. So we are in that process of trying to heal through writing. And that said, I'm just going to start off with our first poetry reading. I'm going to be reading a poem by Clementine and Jiang Yang, A Cry for Help. My beloved coastal region of the Southwest, my cherished mountainous highlands region of the Northwest, the two regions where life has always been the best, but now our patience has been put to the test. As our continuous plea for a ceasefire has not been put to rest yet, our cry for peace is incessantly our quest. Many have taken the last resort to flee to the West region. The underprivileged, however, are condemned to build their nests and camp with unfamiliar creatures like unwanted guests. In bushes where they are exposed to all pests, as only a few were lucky to escape with their vests, who says this scenario is just a jest? It has been a long, scary dream. The lights are dim. Everywhere is filled with gloom, and there is no single face without a grin. When the sound started, we were asleep. I woke up to find no one around the hearth. With my weak and tiny little feet, I was able to run away from the heat. And now I cry out with all my might. I am filled with a lot of fright, and I wonder if my future will ever be bright. When all I have lived for, dreamt of, has been burnt down in a night. Who will hear my tiny little voice? Do you think I'm just making noise? Do you think my cry is not worth your intervention? Do you think I am one of those boys? Please let it be worthy of your note. I am just a vulnerable victim, still filled with hope. By His grace, I know I'll be able to cope, even as you decide to look away during my distress call for your help. Now, that was a poem by Clementine and Jiang Yang. And if you were to ask me to tell you why I chose this particular poem from the collection, I would say it is a cry for help. It is the voice of a distressed mother, a sister. I'm not going to try to compare this to Hamlet's soliloquy, but I'm going to say this is somebody who is talking about a plight that is affecting each and every one of us, imagining where we have been, how life was before our lives got disrupted by the conflict in the South and Northwest provinces or regions, and how much people are suffering, undergoing this terrible demise. I'm going to call on the second poem, or the second poem will be read by none other but Tangyie Suh Nfor. Tangyie, the floor is yours again.
Please unmute.
Let's try to unmute you, Tangyie.
Okay, sorry. When I try to unmute, they say the host is not allowing participants to unmute. So
you're good to go now.
Okay, I'm good to go. I'm good to go now. Okay, thank you. My own poem is Tears of a Sister by Siri Cynthia Wakuna. And I choose the poem because of the contrast that she draws between the atmosphere before the conflict and the atmosphere after the conflict. It's so disheartening to see how things are going right, and overnight you just find some change and people are uncomfortable. I am particularly captured by the personification of laughter and death towards the poem. They give a very a strong feeling about the despair in which we find ourselves. Nevertheless, she concludes the poem with optimism, which is what I think this collection wants to achieve. Tears of women, so that good might come in the end. So here we go. Tears of a Sister, Siri Cynthia Wakuna. In my land which I love, the mornings were filled with life, laughter, and peace. As I walked through the streets, I smiled at the soothing voices of children singing and chanting songs of patriotism and love in the classrooms. Mothers and fathers agile in the boozing markets for what theirs will eat. Teachers going to school with their heads high, neatly dressed to fill the vessels with knowledge and mold lives into forms of pillars to the nation. I stared, totally amazed, totally in awe and love for my land. Then, boom! The rain poured like never before. The thunder rumbled in anger, and the lights went out, leaving us in the silent dark. As I wake up in the cold morning to loud and terrifying sounds never before heard, I peeped out through the window, and my heart bled as I see my brothers hustling on the streets, holding guns. My other brothers, whom I admired so much, in their commanding attire, who once defended us from enemies outside, now pointing their guns at our very own. So I take another walk through the streets, and behold, the schools are deserted. The markets are empty. The streets are quiet. All I hear are loud sounds of cries and anguish and pain. Mothers holding the cold bodies of their children to their bosom, drenched in their blood. Cries of misery all around. My little babes can no longer chant. The stench of death hovering around. The stench of burning flesh. The stench of blood is heavy in the air. Laughter has run out the door, and we are not sure when it's coming back. Death has made a bed in our homes, and we are not sure when it is leaving either. All I hear are the drums of war, beating from afar. All I see is the gnashing of teeth. We feed on our tears daily, yet nobody hears us. We look from afar, anxiously for help, but none forthcoming. I cry for my land, my once beautiful, now in shambles. I cry for peace. I pray the guns will go silent again. I pray the love, peace, and harmony will reign again. This is the cry of a sister. End of poem, moderator.
Thank you, Tangyie. Beautiful reading, beautiful. It's like reading these poems is like talking from the heart. And I'm glad we're doing such a good way of trying to honor our sisters with this rendition. I know our sisters would have been more passionate giving this, but we are trying our best to represent how they feel with this writing of theirs. And at this juncture, I'm gonna welcome Elisabeth Ayuk-Etang. Elisabeth, I am just going to read a short bio of yours. It's a pleasure having you here. We are very honored to have you here today, and you'll be doing our first appraisal and review of the book. But before we get into that, I'm just going to do a little introduction of who you are. So we'll be talking now to Elisabeth N.M. Ayuk-Etang, who is an associate professor of environmental humanities at Xavier University of Louisiana. She's a former IIESRF fellow at University of California, Santa Barbara, UCSB. She was a TIPSON, distinguished visiting professor to the Department of Religious Studies, University of California in Santa Barbara, UCSB, in 2022. She holds a PhD in Black women's writings and ecofeminism from the University of Yaoundé 1 in Cameroon. And Ms. Ayuk-Etang is a prominent and established scholar in environmental humanities and ecofeminism, with more than 15 articles in peer-reviewed journals, 7 book chapters, and a co-authored book to her credit. Ms. Ayuk-Etang is also a recipient of several awards, amongst which are the African Women Development Fund in 2019, the Codesria High Education Policy Initiative in 2019 as well, from the University of Michigan, African Presidential Scholar, UMAPS, in 2015, Fellowship, and Jeanette Hennessy Dylan Schneider Scholar Rescue Award in the Arts in 2022. Ms. Ayuk-Etang belongs to many associations. Among them are the Association of Women and Mythology, Association of Literature and the Environment, ALSE, the Continental Education Strategy, CESA, for Africa, housed by the African Union, and a founding member of African Women of Higher Education Network, WOHEN. Welcome, Ms. Ayuk-Etang. It's a pleasure having you here. We're going to be honored by your review now. The floor is yours. Could we please?
Okay.
Okay,
thank you so much, Madam the Moderator. Thank you so much for that succinct introduction. I bring Easter greetings to all on this platform. I would like to thank the organizers of this event for forging the opportunity of Cameroonian women's predicaments to the discuss to a wider audience. Thank you, Spears Books, for making your platform an enabling environment for us to have this conversation today. I also want to give credit to our editors, Professor Lilian Lematanga and Sally, for putting the volume together when the sun turns red. and for their magnificent initiative to document the reaction and thoughts of the Northwest and Southwest women task force during a controversial time in their history. I want to applaud the commitment of the authors in their poetry. Their intervention is timely. And finally, I want to thank the audience for partaking in this timely conversation of the Anglophone women's outburst of pain in their lives, their homes, and their communities. As voices of the masses, women are deploring the nightmarish situation in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon in When the Sun Turns Red. A collection of about 40 poems with about 34 authors from different backgrounds regurgitating their thoughts. And I start my review by saying that there is a nexus that binds the women of the Northwest and the Southwest regions of Cameroon. That is security and social insecurity. These regions are conflict zones with an ongoing sociopolitical crisis. Blood has been shed and is still being shed. Children are dying. Infant mortality rate has risen. Women and their progeny are being raped, killed, and displaced. Hostilities abound, and attempts at regaining peace advanced by the state has been abortive. Inspired by the present crisis, some Cameroonian women of Northwest and Southwest extraction lament the barbarism that have bedeviled their society in When the Sun Turns Red. This collection, written in the Queen's language and Cameroon Pidgin English, demonstrates the upsurge of what has come to be known in political correct terms as the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. This crisis has impacted the people of these regions in diverse forms. And most especially the women whose plight in the poems are that of triple pain: losing their lives, their livelihood, their husbands and children. The ugly and unexpected policy outcome of the crisis has only exacerbated rather than addressed the problem highlighted in Our Tears. The anonymous author invites the women, let's dry our tears, and I quote, let's face our fears and tell our stories loud and clear so that everyone hears. The pain of the women regurgitated in When the Sun Turns Red has gone down the annals of Cameroon history. Poetry is a form that speaks true to power than history could ever document. The correlation between literature and history is a reciprocal relationship because history influences literature and vice versa. This book is the product of a particular socio-historical and cultural context and should be therefore interpreted against the background of its context. Its interpretation can only be meaningful and relevant when the historical circumstances under which the poems were written are taken into consideration. A cursory glance at the poems reveals the women's lamentation, discontentment, desperation, frustration, and retrospection for quietude and placidity. I consider this an unthinkable history when these women came together because they didn't plan it in the collective unconsciousness of the women. As women of different background and different walks of life, their thoughts are unified and their ideas run into each other. While Sarah Lifanda and Lilian Atanga echo their pain in what Chambi Julie considers as a nightmare turns red, Omam Esther questioned the essence of her existence in Who Am I? On their part, Kate Tandy in The Groaning of an Anglophone Child and Beatrice Titanji in That Child mourns the untimely death of children who are crushed in Beatrice Tamilo's Sacred Generation. Titanji's disappointment crept in We Never Bargained for This, but it came. Yes, Sarah Lifanda questions, were we not one of the wolves in sheep clothing? Bayer Frida expounds on Louisa Stange's blood on the streets as an entrapment in a senseless war. In an attempt to espouse and highlight the class system and the compartmentalization of the Cameroonian society in the spirit of Marxist critical discourse, Lilian Atanga employs Pidgin English as her medium of expression in the poem. Now, what did this say? Peter Trojan, 1974, in Sociolinguistics, an introduction contains that language is the property of the people. This means that language emanates from a particular cultural context, and as such, it is shaped by the people in that society. A good work of art, therefore, is an amalgamation through the shaping of different linguistic elements neatly brought together by the artist so that it can be artistically appealing and ideologically informing to the reader and audience. This is probably the reason why Atanga embraces the Pidgin English as a medium of poetic communication. Unlike the poetic diction of poets like Bate Bissong, which sequesters the common man from the subject matter of his poetry, Atanga has sided with her people by using their own language in the development of knowledge production in her poem. Now, wait till this say, the poem again is in its original form to be broadcasted through community radios, which communicates sociocultural happenings, contemporary issues of the community to the people. As a result, the poem is for public consumption to literate, semi-literate, and even illiterate persons who considers Cameroon Pidgin English. The use of Cameroon Pidgin English further shows Lilian's involvement in the Cameroonian socio-political situation. The Anglophone crisis is a portion of the people's identity, minding people's pain at a very controversial time in the Cameroonian history. The people's collective pain becomes women's burden. Therefore, the use of Pidgin in itself is an attempt by Lilian to share and communicate the predicament of the masses and to appeal to the collective sentiments. For their messages to get to the target audience, there is need for them to use a language which the masses will easily identify. I consider this poetry of conscientization because these poets are committed poets. And the poet considers Pidgin as an artistic vehicle that appropriately carries the weight of the Anglophone experiences and warrants that everybody grabs a copy of this book and immerse themselves in the happening of the society, of that society, through the experiences of these women. If not interested in the subject matter, please grab a copy for the diction and enjoy the intrinsic value of the book. Thank you, Madam the Moderator.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ayuk-Etang. Thank you very much for that review. And just like you said, we have to stick together. You analyzed it from the beginning to the end. You spoke about those ladies and mothers and sisters or aunts who are looking for, seeking that hope, who are lamenting what is actually happening right now. We're very grateful for that. We're going to be coming back to you with a few more questions as the launch unfolds. For now, we are going to switch over. We have our chief launcher here, who is none other than Dr. Chris Famunyo, who is going to be intervening at this point. I'm just going to read a bio of the chief launcher, Dr. Famunyo. So Dr. Chris Famunyo is a senior associate. No, before we do that, bear with me, guys. Before we get there, it would be great for us to hear from Esther Oman. Esther, we're going to unmute you to tell us a little bit about SNOT. SNOT is an amazing organization that brings together women in the Southwest and Northwest region. So SNOT stands for the Southwest Northwest Women Task Force. And Esther is here with us. Esther, it's good to see you, my sister. It's good to have you here. Thank you for the great work that you're doing. We're happy to, oh yes, you have your copy. We're happy to have you here and have you intervene on behalf of all of us, the women in the Southwest and Northwest region, and especially on behalf of SNOT. You go ahead, Esther, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam the Moderator. Greetings to everyone present. We are happy because this is a special day today. A day where we hear about, we get to hear about the voices, what we usually call the voices from the grassroots. The story of the unsung heroines, those who have been at the forefront of the conflict raging in the Northwest and the Southwest regions. We are here today to celebrate women who were nothing else than what they were. We are here today to talk about women who were so much involved in developmental work, those who were academicians, market sellers, religious authorities, and what have you. These women would never dreamt of coming together one day, but because of the calamity which befell our land, were forced to forge a pathway that will bring their voices together through my humble person. The impact of one is that which heard about the atrocities, the chaos which was happening in our land, and which decided to create a voice space for women who are called all over today as Southwest, Northwest Women's Task Force. These are women who were never peace builders because we never had war or conflict in our land. These are women who were never called Snotians. Whenever we met, we will always say, "Hey, woman, hey," and everyone will answer, "Hey." And today, when we meet, we call ourselves SNOT, and we all answer for peace. Why referring to peace is because peace had become a scarce commodity in our land. So we decided to come together in order to carve a particular narrative which is typical to us, and we decided that we will unite our voices to contribute in ending the ongoing crisis. And how are we to do it? We decided that we'll come up with varying strategies that should appeal to the parties to the conflict so that each and every one of them will rethink their position and give peace a chance. From lamentation campaigns to peaceful protest marching, to broad-based media campaigns, to media conferences, to advocacy statements, to advocacy meetings, both with government and the leaders of the non-state armed groups in the diaspora. We have done it all. And where did this land us? And we did it all in tears and with blood, because most of us lost our loved ones. Some of us were kidnapped, our children were kidnapped, our family members maimed, women dehumanized, killed, our children denied access to education, losing their lives. And then we ask ourselves, what did we do to get to this level? And we did all of that thinking that it will come to an end, but it was an unending story. And we needed to change strategy. The reason why we decided to pour our pain, our suffering in the poems which we wrote, bringing in another angle to what we always did. And this angle was that of history. Because with history, we talk about capitalization. And he or she who capitalizes has it in store so that generations to come will testify that there were mothers, women, sisters who stood up to the task and who never despaired, who gave their all to make sure that the story is changed. It is changing and definitely is going to change. We were never poets before. We became poets, we wrote poems. Yes, and we wrote poems, and today we are launching a book edited and produced by our two eminent sisters, Professor Lilian and Mboumien, who thought it wise to gather all these cries of the women, all these tears of the women, to put them into a compilation which will better tell our story tomorrow. I want everyone here present to note that every Snotian wrote that book. Every Snotian has become an author. It needed one or two, as we always say, in terms of leadership, to take the lead to bring us to where we are today. And those two are Professor Lilian and Mboumien. And we can only say that we all have to appropriate this piece of work so that we brandish it wherever we go and tell people that this is our story. This is our story. This is our song. Let us sing it together for a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther Omam. Thank you, thank you. I mean, you are putting a lot of weight behind the work that the Snotians have done. Congratulations to every Snotian. Congratulations to you, my sister Esther Omam. Congratulations to Lilian. Congratulations to Sally. Congratulations to all my sisters who contributed to be part of this. We cannot thank Spears enough for giving us this platform, for making this dream a reality. As you said, we have to speak up. We have to be able to document and make people understand where we're coming from, and for there to be change for a better tomorrow. Thank you very, very much for that intervention. And we'll be coming back to you. I mean, to all the Snotians in the house and those who were not able to participate in this call today, we hear you, we see you, we are together. Woman power, woman, oh yeah, that's where we are. There we go, okay. So now at this point, we're going to transition to the chief launcher. And the chief launcher for this incredible book is none other than Dr. Chris Famunyo, who is going to be coming in now to do a review as well as the chief launcher and telling us a little bit about what he thinks these women have accomplished with this work that they have put out here today. I'm going to do a brief introduction of Dr. Famunyo, so I'm just going to read a short bio. Dr. Famunyo, Dr. Christopher Famunyo is the Senior Associate for Africa and Regional Director for Central and West Africa, NDI. He has organized and advised international election observation missions in several countries, including the recent election in Senegal. He has designed and supervised country-specific democracy support programs with civic organizations, political parties, and legislative bodies in over a dozen African countries. In the course of his work, Dr. Famuyima interacts regularly with heads of state and government, cabinet ministers, elected officials, and political and civic leaders. He recently designed and helped launch the African Statesmen Initiative, ASI, a program aimed at facilitating political transitions in Africa by encouraging former democratic heads of state to stay engaged in humanitarian issues, conflict mediation, public health, and other key sectors of political, economic, and human development on the continent. He has published several articles in academic journals on African politics and democratization. Dr. Famuyima is bilingual in English and French. He holds a licence en droit from the University of Yaoundé in Cameroon and a master's degree in international law from Harvard Law School and a PhD in political science from Boston University. Dr. Famuyima is an adjunct faculty member at the African Center for Strategic Studies and a former adjunct professor of African politics and government at Georgetown University. He also is the founder of the Famuyima Foundation, which supports democracy and humanitarian causes in Cameroon. Additionally, he volunteers as a goodwill ambassador for Ukraine on the Grain from Ukraine initiative. Welcome, Dr. Famuyima. We're very honored to have you here today. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Madam MC. It's such an honor to be with all of you. And I bring you greetings from Dakar, Senegal, where, as you mentioned, I have been out here for work regarding the recently conducted presidential elections that have given this country and the sub-region and our continent a facelift and an assertion, an affirmation of the importance of humanity, human life, human dignity, liberties, and freedoms. I am truly honored to be with you this afternoon. In fact, almost overwhelmed as I listen to each one of the speakers. Extremely powerful deliveries. And I can't thank you enough for this wonderful opportunity. First, for the work that is being done by Esther and Sally and all the women leaders on the ground at the grassroots level. And then for taking the time to collectively put your thoughts and ideas into a book for the rest of the world, but also for future generations. I really want to thank the editors, Lilian and Sally, the 34 authors and contributors, and everyone else, including Spears Books, for providing the platform to get the voices of the millions of women across the Northwest and Southwest regions and those in the diaspora to get their thoughts across. In fact, when the sun turns red, as was said by one of the previous speakers, the reviewer, I believe Elizabeth, really encapsulates the point at which literature meets history. And I think you all have weaved into this beautifully, very succinctly, but also in a very heartwarming, almost piercing manner, that correlation between what our populations are going through in our homeland and the literature that allows them to get those voices shared, those sentiments, the pain, the expectations, but also the hope for the future shared with the rest of the world. There is no doubt that we can all testify to the damage, the deaths and destruction that have been endured by our people or inflicted on our people. There is no doubt that we all know that the greatest victims amongst the thousands of deaths, the hundreds of thousands of internally displaced, the tens of thousands of refugees in other countries, that the most vulnerable in those groupings are women and children. I was in Cameroon 3 weeks ago and took the time to visit with internally displaced girls and young women from the Northwest and Southwest region who happen to be in Yaoundé currently and coming from rural areas are now exposed to life in the city with all of the atrocities that that entails. And I took the time to sit down and listen to their stories, some very heartbreaking, some extremely disturbing and traumatic. But I still left the meeting with a lot of hope because I could see their determination to survive, to thrive, to live to tell their stories. I could see their determination to make sure that future generations, even when they hear about these stories, can gain inspiration from those experiences. And I'm convinced that by what you have done, capturing those thoughts and putting them in book form for posterity, is a leading example of how we can make sure that the story of today's pain and suffering and hardship serve as a roadmap for future generations that will bolster their confidence and their own determination to make sure that future generations will not have to go through this, and that there will be a never again moment for the people of the Northwest and the Southwest regions. I really want to thank everybody that has contributed to this effort and to say that you all are really raising the level of our engagement. You are raising the struggle in which one could generally refer to as the Anglophone population wants its voice heard globally. And that by elevating these voices into a book form, you are making sure that the rest of the world can listen to us, the rest of the world can share what we've gone through, and the rest of the world can stand side by side with us as we seek healing and a better way forward and a land of more promise and hope. So I was truly honored to be asked to be the chief launcher. I, in fact, offline tried to ask Dr. Lilian what this entailed and see if I could get some guidance. But I know that you all can count on me and my support, and that I will, going forward, speak about the book, get other people to take interest and to read the poems. But that as a first gesture of support and appreciation as I celebrate all of you, I would like to order 40 copies of the book and make sure that they are made available at the Fomuyo Foundation Centers in Yaoundé, in Bamenda, and in Kumba, so that we can encourage our sisters, our moms, our aunties, as well as our brothers and fathers, male and female, older generation, younger generation, to go there and read the book and feel inspired by your fortitude and your strength. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope we can bring others in their millions to take interest in this wonderful production, and that we can push it out and promote it, not just in the Northwest and Southwest regions, not just in Cameroon, but across Africa and across the world. And thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Fomuyo. Thank you so much. Dr. Mboumien don't open road though. Now start buy books.
No, when I buy them quick. Thank you very much,
Thank
Madam
you.
MC.
We are honored. We're very, very grateful for such a grand gesture. And just like he said, education is the key. The best way for us to craft minds and to ensure that we have children who are smarter than we are is to ensure that they read books. And the only way we'd be able to do that is if they have these books at their disposal. We are extremely, extremely grateful for this gesture. Thank you, Dr. Famounia. Thank you very much. I'm going to call on, I'll need about 3 more launchers. And I just want to say we are above our 1 hour mark. So I know people want to stretch their legs or something, but just let me tell you a little bit about spearsbooks.com. Okay, let's talk about Spears here. In America, in New York, where I am, there is this whole spirit of supporting your own. It's all about a Black-owned business. It's all about you promoting those you feel passionate about, though empowering those who are paving the way for change. Let us support our sisters through the sales of this book. We're going to do our best. If you can get copies just like Dr. Famounia did. You can get 40 copies, you can get 30 copies, you can get 10 copies, you can get 5 copies, you can donate copies to different libraries, different schools, alumni groups. Where are all the Shessons? Where are all the Asobexons? Where are all the Sobans? It's like, people, let us be able to put these books on the shelves of schools or in different places where our kids and our mothers would be able to see this. I would be so proud to also say that I'll be getting 10 copies of the book. So I'll follow Dr. Famounia's footsteps and order 10 copies, which I'll be willing to send to Cameroon, to my brothers and sisters and children over there to educate them. So I think if you go to the chat, you will see that we have information in the chat about where you can purchase the book. The books go at a discounted cost now, a discounted amount of $15 per copy. So if you could go to the chat, and I also have to point this out, guys, it's a lot better to get the book directly from spears.com and not through Amazon. Jeff Bezos never already get money. Why would not the one give some again? No. Let us support our own. Let's go to our own people and empower those who are trying to make change. Let's go to spearsbooks.com, get the book from there. Support those who are in need of education. I'm a very passionate person when it comes to teaching the little I know to make generations better. We can all do our little contribution here by purchasing this book on spearsbooks.com and distributing it or sending it to our brothers and sisters. So at this point, I'm going to say, Snotchins, oh yeah, again, women power, oh yeah, here we go. So we're going to move now. Do I have any 3 launchers? Anybody who wants to speak off the cuff? Just show it by indicating your hand. No takers?
Can I?
Yes, you may, definitely.
Okay, this is Beatrice Titanji.
Welcome,
I appear
welcome,
on page
Beatrice.
9.
Yes, you
the
do,
book.
you do. And Beatrice, I'm going to come
want...
to you. I'm going to come to you again later, but for now you can go with as a launcher. Can you hear me?
Am I speaking as an author or as a launcher?
Right now you're intervening as a launcher. You'll intervene as an author later.
Okay, I am not launching. In Ground Z, we have nothing to launch. We are launching ourselves. We are surrendering everything we have so that we have already given our voices, our time, our tears. Let the launching go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Is there anybody else who would like to intervene at this point?
Are there any Bobans
Okay,
in the house? Are there any Bobans in the house? I'm a Boban and I I want to be sure if there's a Boban in the house that they can stand up and speak up.
I am a Boban wife, and I am the president of the Boban Wives in Boya chapter.
Perfect. You know, I want to make sure that Bobans get heard, please.
Yes, we had a wonderful 75 years celebration.
Congratulations, indeed. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Doc. That's why I heard the name Titanji and immediately it pricked my mind.
Thank you very much. So thank you for those who are supporting this, and you just being here, you're supporting this. We also have 10 copies that have been pledged by Clarence Dangam. Thank you, Clarence. Thank you very much for that pledge. Anybody else who wants to pledge anything, for the sales of any books, you can put that in the chat. I pledged 2. That is Asi Tima is pledging 2 copies of the book. Great, thank you, Asi Tima. And you can pledge there. You can go directly to the Spears Books website and get the books from there. And also there are copies that are available in Cameroon and can be gotten from Sally Mboumien in Cameroon. We'll put up the information in the chat where she can be reached. That is Taiwo Olurontoba Oju. Forgive me, my brother or sister. It's like Taiwo Olurontoba Oju is pledging 5 copies. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're very, very grateful for your pledge. And forgive me for massacring your name. Just forgive me, I beg. And we have somebody else. Enongene Nkube is pledging 5 copies. Way to go. Thank you very much, Enongene Nkube. We are looking forward to all the great minds that are going to be educated through your pledges and your books. We're looking forward to anybody contributing in any way that can possibly contribute. Beatrice Ndefan is taking 5 copies for her hospital. Awesome. Thank you very much, Beatrice. Où est le lien pour l'achat du livre? It's a little bit, we'll put it again. On va le mettre tout à l'heure. On va le remettre ici. We're going to put the link again so you can know exactly where to get the books. Okay, you just put up the link. There you go. Okay, thank you. Oh, Phil Najame is pledging 10 copies. So proud of you, Lilian. There we go. Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. There's a lot of support here. I am super excited, and so are all the Snotians and all the Snotians. We're very happy and very proud of what we're achieving here today. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go over now to
there's another one, Henry.
There's another one. Wait. Oh my goodness, Henry Atem is pledging 25 copies. I'm so sorry I missed that. Thanks, Lee, for drawing my attention to that. Henry Atem, thank you so much for the 25 copies you're pledging. This is great. This is a great way to kick off educating our women and kids and hoping for change in our community. Let's get back to where we were playing Ciseaux and Tabala outside without being afraid of catching a stray bullet. That's what we're talking about here today. Thank you so much for all the pledges. Thank you very much for those who are going to be able to buy the book at a later point. We're looking forward to that happening. And at this point, I'm going to call on we're going to talk about the official book launch now. We have Aye Brandon Keven, who is pledging 2 copies for Aye Brandon Keven. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that. We're looking forward to achieving even more. Okay, so I just got a text saying, we're going to follow up with the pledges for the contacts. So you can either pay using the QR code or different options that we'll put at your disposal. So we'll be putting that information in the chat. So just look out for it. And you can always just drop us a line to let us know how we can contact you if you cannot use if you're joining from your phone and you can scan the QR code immediately. We'll be able to do this for you. So we're going to get now to the official launch of the book. I'm going to be calling on everybody who has a copy of the book to please get the copy ready. We'll be brandishing our beautiful copies of the book on screen. So I'll just give you a minute or two to grab your copies.
We also encourage those who do not have copies. You can just unmute yourself and also put on your camera and cheer the editors. So I just wanted to add that. You can just cheer them up, clap for them, and it's a big accomplishment. So over to you. Sorry for interrupting, Mamua.
No, thank you very much, Jude. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So everybody get your copy. Brandish your copy in front of the screen. And we are going to cheer our sisters. We're going to cheer the Snotians. We are officially launching When the Sun Turns Red, Tears from a Land in Despair. Congratulations, Lilian, Dr. Lilian Atanga Sali Mboumien. Congratulations, Snotians. Congratulations, Cameroonians. We are making strides in the right direction. Congratulations. So you can just unmute and share, and I'm going to mute everybody again after this.
Congratulations, guys.
Woo! Thank you, Phil.
Congratulations to everyone.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Virginia.
Congratulations to us.
Congratulations, Stanley. Congratulations, Lilian.
Congratulations from Bamenda.
Auntie Lily,
Oh, thank
Auntie
you,
Sally,
especially those from
congratulations.
Bamenda and Boya. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much. A well-deserved round of applause, a well-deserved recognition to our sisters. Let's take a little
Congratulations
bathroom
to
break.
Lilian. Congratulations to the authors. Congratulations to Sally. Congratulations to Ma-S, as we call you. Thank you for your wonderful vision. We are all behind you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So at this point, let's just take a brief bathroom break. Let's just straighten our legs a little bit, and we'll have some music playing in the background, and then we'll be back in should we say in about 2-3 minutes? Jude,
Yeah,
would
about
2-3 minutes be good?
Yeah, 3 minutes. Awesome.
Thank you. So we'll be back here in 3 minutes. Just go grab a bottle of water, stretch your legs a little bit, and then we come and continue with our program. Thank you.
Africa, your turn is now. They have a right to be here. They have a right to a sense of pride. Africa, let's give them Saramando, 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 Saramando. Child, please dry your tears. Mama, cry no more. Daddy, please drop your guns now. It's time to exchange those guns with our guitars. It's time to exchange those guns for medicine. Saramano. Well, there is an enemy in the courtyards, killing our sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, uncle and aunts, daddies and mamas. We know him, but he doesn't know us. Well, our weapon should be education. The tears are gone, the glowing smiles are said. Saramano, 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 yes. Saramano, 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 yeah. Saramano.
And we are back. I hope everybody got a glass of water or a bottle of water, stretch your legs a little bit. We're going to continue with the second half of our program. And I'm going to just prep Seraphin Kamdem. You're going to be the next speaker. So maybe we can start trying to find him on the chat so we can unmute him after I read his bio. And then we're going to continue.
I think I'm already unmuted.
You are, okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and read a short bio for you, just to give people a sense of who you are, and then we take it from there. So Dr. Seraphin Kamdem is currently a research associate in the School of Languages, Cultures and Linguistics and the Center of African Studies at SOAS, University of London. He holds a PhD from SOAS. His doctoral thesis focused on African languages and education, investigating multinational adult literacy in the rural areas of Cameroon. Dr. Kamdem has taught various courses and given lectures at SOAS, King's College London, and the University of Yaoundé, the University of East London, and at INALCO University, Sorbonne in Paris. His publications and research interests span from sociolinguistics in Africa, African languages and cultures, Gomala language, Grassfield's Bantu. Grassfield's Bantu. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, I'll take that again. I got an interruption. So Dr. Kamdem's publications and research interests span from sociolinguistics in Africa, African languages and cultures, the Gomala language, and Grassfield's Bantu language, multilingualism and education to sociopolitical change in Africa. Dr. Kamdem is the conveyor of the language in Africa, LIA, Special Interest Group, LIA, of the British Association of Applied Linguistics, BAAL. Welcome, Dr. Kamdem. We're very honored to have you here today. We're very glad that you're part of this incredible book launch, and we would like to have your take as we go forward. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mamua. It's a genuine honor for me to be here, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to try to tell you that I was promoting this book when I think it was still in the pre-publication announcement. So I did that back, and then that's when I was seeing that it was a key document, a key contribution to literature because of the sort of blending of addressing the issue of what's happening in Cameroon and the very fact that it is full of beautiful creative writing. So it is both a war of literature, a war of history, and a document for advocacy about a situation where we need to address the core issue of human rights and suffering. So I will try to cover basically my take on the book from the perspective of being somebody who has worked and taught literature, but also as a critical political analyst of a lot of situations happening in sub-Saharan Africa. So we know what the collection is about. We've discussed that at length, and that's fine. We already know it's a collection of poetry. We know that it is about the war, but there's something that I want to focus on. This is a case where we see the role of literature in social change. We are going back to what was known right from the 60s throughout the 70s as the literature for combat, the whole theory of the littérature engagée. And we are dealing with a piece of, a collection of poems who are telling the message of a reality that needs to be fought in terms of bringing about change. So there is the context of Cameroon, which we need to look at very briefly. We have what has to be considered, and I will not go too much into that, what has to be considered as the unfinished decolonization of Cameroon. It was never finished, and I will not bore you about what we all know. There's the responsibility of the UN, the responsibility of the UK in how they dealt with the situation in the 60s and 61, which created the historical environment. So there's the element of the unfinished decolonization. The second element that we need to address when we are looking at this book, because we need to look at the background, because the sort of fabric, the historical context within which this book has emerged is of interest to anybody, not just for the sake of literary criticism, but for the sake of comprehending how important this book is. There is, if we even put aside the historical element, there is the failed political cohabitation. The project of building modern Cameroon, whatever are the historical constraints that we inherited, do not justify the failing of the political cohabitation, which pre-existed before the creation of the modern nation. That's a political agenda of failure. We have to put that in the basket of this discussion. A third element, looking at the context where this book is emerging from, is what I call a failed project also of national resources sharing. The element of inequality, unfairness, and what I call iniquity, when it has come to how the central government of Cameroon has managed the resources, and I'm very clear, the all resources in the Southwest has created a frustration that has been compounded by the cultural and linguistic frustrations that we know. I'm working on expanding this, but this is the context within which this book has emerged. And that is something that we need to remember, that the women that are writing this book, the women that are suffering in the war, the women that are dying in the street, the children who are falling, under the hail of the bullets, as we are seeing in all of this region where the war has been going on, they are the victim of all of these three elements compounded together. They are the victim of the unfair and what I called the bad governance, political governance. They are the victim of a failed decolonization, historical elements that go all the way back. I don't want to go all the way from where it started, but the United Nations were part of it through the Trusteeship Council. Now, when we look at the book, and that's where I'm going to finish my sort of review, it's the contribution of the book to African literature. It is clearly, and I need to have a qualitative statement here, it's a great contribution to African literature. There's no debate about that. It has to do with the quality of the book in itself as a piece of beautiful poetry. It has to do with something specific that I want to point out, which I call, there is a current situation of the conflict in the Southwest as Northwest as being one of the most underreported conflicts in Africa and actually all in this world today. If you compare with all other conflicts in terms of victims, the displaced people, the people who are dying, the casualties, and all the key elements that define how you report and talk about a war, the Northwest war in Cameroon has been documented. And this is research. It's not a statement from me, because they set specific criteria to know how a conflict can be considered underreported. And I will just mention 3 of them. You look at how much funding is put into the conflict for intergovernmental organizations, not the private or the charities. I'm talking of intergovernmental organizations who have the duty in international relations and international law to take care of conflict in member states. So I'm talking of the political duty. I'm not talking of, oh, maybe Oxfam is helping or this private organization. So you have that criteria. You have the other criteria, which is the funding that has to be put in the conflict. And the third criteria is the presence in the media. So this has been done by, the Norwegian Refugee Council, and I've used the data in the paper. And we know now that the conflict in Cameroon is one of the most underreported conflicts in the world. And that has an impact on why this conflict is dragging on forever. There are not enough resources internationally to address the core issue of the conflict. There's not enough pressure internationally on the government to sit and have a genuine dialogue that will solve the problem that we are reading about in When the Sun Turns Red. So this is a moment for us to shed tears about the blood and the corpses, the casualties of the war in the Northwest South. But it's also a moment to go back and give praise for the courage and all of the efforts and the sacrifices that the book is showing in terms of the resilience of the poets, in terms of the resilience of the women described in most of the poems. I would want to finish by saying that this book also is a living proof of the power of civil society. We need to remember where this book came from. This is the result of the work of the civil society, not the government, not military. This is our people, ordinary people who are suffering, who are dying, who are in pain, who are lining there, spending most of their time organizing funeral in fear. They don't have the possibility, like historically has been, that if there's a funeral, everybody should get involved because it's a moment of coming together to support people who are grieving. People in Southwest and North don't even have that luxury. It's become a luxury to organize a proper funeral these days. This is sad, and that's the reality of what this book is discussing. So, but what they have done, and I really was so impressed to hear all of those who were behind the book telling us how it started. The last element that I want to share with you in terms of my review of the book is that the book is also an instance of how we can reappropriate technology. Let's remember the book started as exchanges that were happening in and on social media, and it's been reappropriated now into a document that can become a pedagogic tool. The book can be taught. I plan to teach it in my literature courses. So that's a pedagogic tool. The book will be, people have been buying the book just here, so that it will help raise awareness. We talk about advocacy. How do we end this war? The book will be a tool in that fight, because crying over the war, that's done in the book at length. There are tears all over, but we need to take action. We need to understand this war as being part of those elements that we must use to let the world see. Because trust me, I am not having any qualms that I see Cameroon from the diaspora where I stand now, but I understand how much the silence of the world, the blindness of the world about the pain and the suffering of the Southwest is contributing to that war continuing. So that book is a tool that will open the eyes of the rest of the world, not just people in Cameroon, but also people outside of Cameroon, to really take stock of the pain that people are going through. So as you see, I am interested not just in what is in the book, which is literary contribution, very beautiful poetry. In terms of the themes, I could spend an hour just doing a thematic analysis of some of the poem and, giving you a mapping of how they are connected. But the aim of my review today is to share with you how I believe that this book is going to have a great impact in the fight that we are doing, not just to stop the war, but to bring others to understand the pain, because stopping the war is the key, important, here and now fight that we need to be leading. The war must be stopped. We cannot continue to have children, women being displaced, not in thousands, in tens of thousands, casualties, day in, day out, everywhere. People cannot even have the courage now to go on YouTube and Google the war, because what you see is just horrible. We need to put an end to that. But we need to remember that there will be also a mission of healing that will come today, tomorrow, in 10 years, whenever we stop this war. We must remember, we must heal. We must go back and remember that the pain will not disappear. So for me, this book will be part of that journey, and a journey that every single Cameroonian should take. It's not about being from the region at war. If you believe in the human suffering, the commonality of destiny that defines that historical combination of people who have come together to believe in the togetherness of a nation, of cohabitating together in whatever shape or form will the state be tomorrow, that's a different debate. But this book is part of the fight that we have to lead now to put an end to this war and make sure that we can wipe the tears of the authors of these brilliant poetesses. We must wipe their tear through action to stop the war. Thank you again for giving me the floor, and it's been an honor to give you my quick review. Thank you again to everybody for your patience. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamdem. Thank you for contextualizing this write-up, this piece of art that we have by our women, and putting the historical perspective behind it for those who have not been able to grasp where these voices are coming from and what we're seeking to have in the future. Thank you very much for putting that in perspective. What a great, great, great review. Thank you, Dr. Kamdem. We're going to continue now with a few poems. We're going to read 2 more poems. I'm going to call on Kefen Budji. Kefen, you're going to come in and read one of the poems for us. And after that, I'll be calling on Dr. Beatrice Titanji to read the second poem. Kefen, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be part of this, to participate in this. The poem that I chose is We Survive. And I chose it for the reasons Dr. Kamdem just talked about, the idea that there is hope that this is not the end. There is the hope that this too will pass. A lot of the poems have been really heart-wrenching. This poem too, for me, it is heart-wrenching, but it ends on a kind of Christian lament, crying and accepting the reality, but at the same time knowing that this is not the end. So there's this creation of a space where action can happen by envisioning a future where everything becomes better. So here is the poem, We Survive, by Zonziwo Mbongulo Wondie. Woke up and asked myself, what will I do when that day comes? When all this is over, when we all shall sing and say, at last, we survived. We survived the stray bullets. We survived the incarceration. We survived the brutality. We survived the famine. We survived the pains and thoughts of never knowing what's next. We survived the random arrests. We survived the sickness. We survived the hiding. We survived. At last, we survived. Come, dear all, party with me, even as the tears will never dry off my eyes. Come, but come party with me. It's been long because we survived. We survived. Now I can cook once more at my veranda like my great granny used to do. We survived. Now I will tie my loincloth around my chest like the old days and walk the hallway of my front yard like models of Broadway. Oh yes, we survived. Now I will eat outside and call all to serve themselves from the pot because I know they, like me, we survived.
What a beautiful rendition, Kefen. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful read. That is, I mean, you got me almost break out in tears there with that one. The passion with which you used to read that poem is just amazing. I'm going to call now on Dr. Beatrice Titanji for our next poem.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dr. Titanji.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And before I go to my poem, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has been appraising our work, appraising our tears, and our hope is that we will survive at the end, as the last poem just said. My worry is that our book has so many empty pages. Can the publisher tell us why? Because we have lots and lots of more poems to fill them, to fill those pages. So by the time I end, I hope Mr. Jude will tell us how we are going to fill these pages and make it a complete book. My poem is a bargain. No, never. We never bargained for this, but it came to us. We never bargained for a full-scale war. It started like a joke. Excited kids threw stones with their catapults. The men spun the kids in the game. The kids' toys became deadly weapons. Its effects they never knew. They took the weed and the game became real. They left the classrooms, but them. Goats became students. Cane rats became discipline masters. The snakes their guardians. Daring any human kid, the nightmare was not a dream. We struggle to wake up. We say it is just a dream. But at last, it is real. So real. Shaken by a core, the mother is dead. As the kids are crying, Mama, Mama, let's go. They are coming again. And they come like wounded lions. And yet, we hope for another alive to be spared, of a mother, to tell her story someday, somehow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Titanji. Thank you very much. And I hear you when you talk about the empty pages, because there is a lot that has to be written on all the pages. And we'll be filling all of those pages as we document what is happening in the North and Southwest provinces, I keep saying provinces, regions of Cameroon, and we will be able to hear every voice that is not heard. That is why we are here. That is why Spears is giving us this platform. That is why Spears is encouraging us to document this literature. And I hear you, and we all hear you when you talk about the empty pages. There's still a lot that has to be put in writing. Thank you very much.
I wish I can send the many I have in my computer as soon as possible. Let the publisher just signal to us and they will come flowing.
Thank you, Dr. Titanji. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So we're going to listen to a little song now by our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, our cousins, and it's called Selo Mama Amba. And after that, we're going to come back. I'm going to open the floor for comments, okay? And before I open the floor for comments, we're going to have I don't know in which order we should do this. Maybe we should do the quiz before we open the floor for comments. I believe so. We're going to do a little quiz on getting to know the authors, and then we'll open the floor for comments. But for now, we'll have a little bit of music from our mothers, our sisters, and our aunts and our cousins. Thank you so much for that. We heard our mothers and our sisters and our aunties say Selo Mama Amba. I don't understand womb, but I feel the spirit of what they're singing. I can see that they're congregating, they're together, they're like, we have to speak in one voice, and that is what we are doing here today. My dear sister Lilian, I see that you have put on the chat, we're gonna have a nice little quiz to get to know the authors. So if you can just download that, click on that link so you'll be able to participate. And the prize is going to be a free poetry book from Spears Books. which will be offered to the person who wins this quiz. We'll just give a minute or so for people to be able to get in and get established with that. But while we're doing that, could we just have a few comments? If you could just raise your hand before you unmute yourself, if you want to comment, and I'll be able to unmute you so you could say something. Okay, it looks like everybody's busy downloading this Menti link for the quiz. So take your time, and in about a minute or so, we're going to start. We're going to launch that.
I think while we do that, Lilian, can you share your screen so we can see as people join?
Okay, Dr. Seraphin Kamdem's hand is up. Dr. Seraphin, the floor is yours while we have people join in to take part in this quiz.
Yeah, thank you, Mamua. Thank you. I just want to add, because having a review that was so brief, I couldn't touch on half of the important issues. And I think when we'll have the comments, when we'll have another chance, I'll expand on a number of things. I want to point out that in the book, there is a very important part that is very important for the historical information, but also for a better knowledge of the dynamics of what this book is, where this book came from, and where it is going, which is the introduction. And trust me, it's not a short introduction. It's 7 pages of very, very useful information. So I would just want people to remember that that's what this book is. This book is about literature, but it's also about opening the debate about what's happening. It's about telling not just the stories that you have in the poems, but it's also about the journeys done by those who have been editing the book and how they have worked with the Snot women to get there. So it's really important to see the introduction of the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamdem. Thank you very much for your insightful words. We would very much appreciate if you could publish the review.
Not putting attachment is not what moved me.
Can we mute everybody? Can somebody help me mute everybody? Thank you very, very much. So Dr. Kamdem, we would very much appreciate if you could enter those words in as a review on the website. We would very, very much appreciate that. You have a lot of insight and information to share with us. We would like to have that ready and for anybody to read, for those who did not take part in the call today. And we are above the 2-hour mark. We're going to try as much as we can to wrap this up as soon as possible. So now we're going to start with the quiz. Lilian, how many do we have so far?
I see about 9 people. So
we see about 9 people. Okay.
There's also a QR code for anybody who's using a phone and wants to join by QR code. It's available on screen. And you just need to scan that and it will take you directly to the quiz. So we have some questions here that just provide an opportunity for you to learn more about the authors, the editors, and when you participate, you get a chance to win one of our publications, our poetry collections, and some tips for participating, speed and accuracy. So when you answer, how soon you answer and how accurate your answer is gets you the most points. Okay. So let's see. We have 7 players that are ready. Is anybody having any issues joining? There's a link in the Zoom chat. Please use your names so we can reach out to you if you win, or you can contact us so we can mail you a copy of the book to you. Okay, I'll see if there's one more. If we have 10, we can go on. If not, we will proceed with the 9 that are here. Okay, let's get started. So, who was the first female parliamentarian in Cameroon? How well do you know your history? Let's see. Wow. One person got that right. The first female parliamentarian was Dorcas Idowu. Let's see who got that right. Dragonite, whoever Dragonite is. Hopefully by the end we get your real name. Well done. Next question. Who was the first female author to be published by Spears Books? Two people got that right. Yes, our first female author was Kefen Budji, who's here with us today. Magical Rhino and Zlatan are in the lead. Getting that right. Well done. Next question. Still opportunities to catch up. What was the first poetry title published by Spears? If you're familiar with Spears. Nobody got it right. Yes. Healing Stings was our first publication, poetry. And so the leaderboard stays the same. Fourth question, a chance to redeem yourself. Approximate population of women in Cameroon. It's a guessing game. Good job to the two people who came close. Let's see who that is. Magical Rhino and Skids. Okay, Skids was the fastest to get that answer. Well done. Next question. When was SNORT founded?
I hope there are Snotians. The answer should be in now. Snotians, go for it.
Fast.
Quick.
Quick. Let's see. So two people said 2017, two said 2018. Well done to those who got it right. And who were those? Zlatan and Venture. It's getting a bit close at the top. Okay. A few more questions to go. Who was the first general coordinator of SNORT? So that is the South and Northwest Women's, is it task force?
Yeah.
Yeah. Esther Omar, who is here with us today. Congratulations to one person who had it right. And who is that? S. Kamdem.
Me.
Well done. So you got some points entered on the leaderboard. Question 7. How many poems are in the collection when the sun turns red? How many poems are in the book we're launching today?
Oh, for those who don't have the copy, I mentioned it in the beginning, so.
Yes. So if you've been paying attention from the beginning, Mama mentioned it. So let's see. Okay, nobody got that right.
Bummer.
Bummer indeed. Okay, so the leaderboard stays the same. No movement there. 2 more questions to go. So answer fast to get the most points. Professor Atanga is a member of which Writers Association? Cameroon Writers Guild, Association of Northwest Artists, Anglophone Cameroon Writers Association, or
one person got it right.
One person got it right, the Anglophone Cameroon Writers Association. Well done to you. Let's see, S. Kamdem.
S. Kamdem.
Very good. See? Small not be sick. Now S. Kamdem is the third.
Indeed.
In third place. Well done. Okay, question 9. Where did Sally, one of the editors, obtain her BA degree? If you listen to the bio at the beginning, you get a clue there. University of Chang, the right answer. One person got it right. Zlatan. A chance to sneak up. Woo! See?
Oh.
They just overtook Magical Rhino, who's been leading all the way. Okay, last one.
Last one, right? Yes.
Yes. A chance.
Who is Magical Rhino?
Where did Professor Atanga obtain her master's degree?
Nobody got it.
This is why we have a quiz, right? A fun way to get to know the authors.
Exactly.
So,
even your sister Beatrice, you're not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lilian. Thank you so much. Let's see the leaderboard.
Congratulations. Let's see who the overall winners are. Zlatan, whoever that is.
Zlatan. Congratulations,
First
Zlatan.
prize winner is Zlatan, and the second prize winner is Magical Rhino. Congratulations to both of you. Zlatan wins a copy of Narrow Escapes as a publication. It's a poetry collection by Tangyie Suh, who's a very distinguished Nigerian poet, and he wrote this poetry collection called A Poetic Narrow Escapes. That's a title. A Poetic Diary of the Coronavirus Pandemics. It has over 200 poems in it, in which he offers his reflections during the pandemic. Very, very good collection. So Zlatan, you win that. And then the second prize is a copy of Shadows of Sorrow, Tears and Laughter by Beatrice Titanji, and that is going to Magical Rhino. please send us your names and addresses on the chat. You can do that privately to me or to Jude, and we will have the book shipped to you. So congratulations and thank you for participating.
We would like to know who those people are.
If you're still here, please let us know. Let me see if they're in the chat.
Collins is Magical Rhino.
Who?
Collins.
Collins is okay.
Yeah, magic. That disqualifies
Your
you.
magical rider. So who is Zlatan?
Who is Zlatan?
No award.
Let me see who else. Who is Zlatan? S. Kamdem can take the second prize.
Okay. Thank you to all those who participated in the quiz. We value your time very much. We've been here for over 2 hours. It shows a lot of commitment and dedication to stick with us until now. We don't want to abuse of your precious time. So we're going to try to wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so. And we're just going to ask now if there are any Q&A questions. We're just going to do a quick Q&A session with the author before we wrap up in a few minutes. If you could just raise your hand if you have a question and we'll call you. Don Peter is Zlatan. Yeah, or just comment. Reactions, comments?
You don't need even carrying that heavy bag. Tomorrow, we'll put just those clothes in a different bag and my documents.
Okay, so it seems like we are all happy and content with the work
I can use my small privilege to ask a question.
Most certainly. Go ahead.
Yes, so I think one of the things that came through is that women who find themselves in such situations don't feel confident enough in their ability or their voices to speak. Never mind coming to a space where they have to be considered poets to write, to document in this way. Perhaps you could talk us through how you went about convincing these women that their words were powerful enough to be documented in a collection such as this.
Okay, thank you. It's unfortunate that my co-editor isn't here. I want to say she's been an amazing general coordinator for the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force. She is the second coordinator, actually. The first and the vision bearer was Esther Omam, who spoke at the beginning. And when she was leaving, she handed over the baton to Salim Mboumien, who also had a very brilliant vision, a great vision. She took it another level higher, and her activism skills, both online and offline, were phenomenal. I'm going to refer you all to the Facebook page and the Twitter page of SNOT. Mamua, I don't know if you can find it and put it on chat. If you go especially to the Facebook page, there are tons and tons and tons of things that we did. Some we wrote, for example, lower your weapons by lowering our arms. We had pens, not guns, as different campaign strategies. We had not on my body at the time that women's bodies were being violated by both Amber Boys and the Cameroon military. There were so many campaigns, tens and tens of campaigns that were done by these women, all phenomenal work. If we have to produce work from that, we will have so many books coming up. And I encourage many of the young PhDs that have graduated seeing this thing to take up some of that work and do. Because we had a coordinator at that time, Salim Mboumien, who had that vision, who had that following, who had the capacity to rally women and bring women together to do these things, because every woman who joined SNORT, when SNORT started, there were probably 5 or 6 women. I see Frida Ebai here, who I think is one of the founding members, and Esther Omam. There were less than 10 women who founded SNORT. But SNORT has, I don't know, probably over 100 women. And these women came on board because they bought the vision. They came on board because they felt pain. And SNORT is made up of more than 50% are female-led civil society organizations, and then independent women. For these women to buy this vision, it means something was inherently wrong in their society. This is a society that had not known war, had read war in books, had read of rape as a weapon of war from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and did not even understand the meaning of rape as a weapon of war. These are women who did not know what it meant. The word internally displaced person was not in their vocabulary. Seeing a corpse on the road was not something that people did, except it was an accident, which was not common. And then suddenly, on a daily basis, to see corpses on the road, to see blood on the road, to hear sounds of guns every day, to bury brothers, husbands, children, nephews, nieces, and so on and so forth, where if you had a son who was anything above 10 years old, you were afraid that he would be captured as an amber boy, where if you had a son who was a police officer, a gendarme, or a military, every day you were waiting that, I don't know if today is a day. Everyone lived in fear. We were even afraid to think. And because we had all of these burdens, we could easily buy into the vision of women coming together, which is a vision that we copied from our mothers when they practiced the takumbans, when they practiced the anlus, when they practiced the different things that our mothers practiced when it was beyond words. The first activity they took was the lamentation campaign. They went out with guns in Bamenda and in Boya, half naked, because some even went naked to protest the killings, to protest the violence. And one thing that I want to note here is that these women suffered. At the time that they started, Cameroon was one. Cameroon was a Cameroon where every parent will be happy for their children to go to the military school, to the gendarme school, or the police school. It was a Cameroon where every mother was proud of their son, whether you went to school or not. And then suddenly, to have a son became a problem. To have a husband or a brother became a problem, because being male was a problem. Being male meant you are either an amber man or a military guy, and both of them were vulnerable populations. There were populations that were attacked. So every woman was involved. And that's how the vision grew to over 100 women. And that's how every woman participated. If you go to this Facebook page that I'm saying, if you have a campaign like Not on Our Bodies, I want to tell you that the bodies of women did not hesitate to show their bodies and protest that this body belongs to me. It's my body. It's not a body to be violated by whoever, using whatever. So, I don't know. There's a lot to say. I could keep going on and on and on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lilian Atanga. I can see that there is a lot to say, and you say it with so much passion because you know exactly what these women have endured. We know what our sisters are going through and how this collection came about. We can only thank you and Sally Mboumien for immortalizing these pieces from our sisters and for giving the room and the opportunity for these to be documented. I see here Esther Oman pledges 5 copies. Esther, yes, thank you so much, Maes, if you permit me to call you that. And just before we wrap up, I'm going to call on everybody who has pledged. We're going to be able to put the information again on the chat. Please, if you have pledged and you have not been able to capture that information on the chat, you can go to the spearsbooks.com website and do your purchases there. And for those in Europe, you can also go to that website and have complete your purchases there. As we said earlier, for those in Cameroon, Sally Mboumien has some copies, and you can also reach out to our brothers and sisters as peers to purchase those copies if you don't have the information at hand. And just to reiterate, it is spearsbooks.com. Please go there, buy the books. As we said, you could always go through Amazon, but it's a better option for you to buy the books directly from the website. If we don't, do we have anybody else who wants to comment or who has a question for Lilian before we wrap up?
Before we wrap up, I really want to thank all the poets who took the time to come out here. It's unfortunate that we haven't acknowledged all of them. I can see Atanga, Beatrice, Ndefon Beatrice, Beatrice Titanji, Clementine, and Jang. Your poem was read and you were not present. Doc Gima, Stella, Eileen, Apko. Thank you, Eileen, for all the good work you're doing. Sorry, I'm just going through the list. Frida Ebai, Jemen, and Jay, Hawa Abdullahi, Kate Tande, Mariana Ewokem, Epetin Dive. Thank you, Pauline Nembo, for joining us. So far, those are the ones I see now. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Snotians. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to all of those who have been here with us until now. I see Lilian, you're itching to say something.
No, that's okay. Just go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for being here with us today. And thank you for a successful launch of the book, When the Sun Turns Red, Women's Tears from a Land in Despair. We look forward to interacting with you further. As we said, let's encourage and support our own. Let's go to spears.com. Thank you very much to the Spears Books team. I, as a moderator, can only say thank you for giving me this opportunity to support my sisters and being able to work with you directly for a successful book launch. I am stoked, as they say in the West Coast. I'm very, very glad that we've come to the conclusion of our program today. Stay tuned with Spears Books. We will be, look at me now. When I see something, I don't just put myself inside Spears' space. So we will be launching more books, you know. We will be launching more books. Join us, join our Cameroonian brothers and sisters, join our sisters to support their book. Thank you for your commitment for the past 2.5 hours or more. Yeah, 2.5 approximately. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And congratulations to Dr. Lilian Atanga and Sally Mboumien. Congratulations to the Snotians. Congratulations, Maes. Congratulations, Beatrice Titanji. Congratulations, Stella Dopgima. Those are the few names I can just pick out. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to bounce it over to Jude Fokwan.
Thank you so much, Mamua. Can we give a round of applause to Mamua for such a wonderful, wonderful moderating job? Thank you so much. We are deeply, deeply grateful for this. You've steered it so energetically. You brought so much into this. Congratulations, Lilian, Atanga, and Sally Mboumien, and all the wonderful poets who contributed to this volume. Like everybody has said, it is indeed a wonderful work of art. And those of you in the literary domain, you can, of course, use this now for teaching, for reading, and beyond. So just like Mamua said, indeed, we do have lots of, book launches coming forward in the next couple of months. We do have some exciting titles as well, poetry and fiction coming out in the next couple of months. In fact, I think the very first will be coming out next month. So please be on the lookout for that. You can find us on all the social media platforms. On Instagram, it is Instagram/SPSBooks. On Facebook, it is also /SPSBooks. And we also have a YouTube channel where this launch was being live streamed. And on Twitter, you would also, X, formerly Twitter, you would also find us /SPSBooks. So again, we try to have a presence everywhere. Follow us, like us, ask us questions about our publishing portfolio, and do look out for more information about plans for our celebration of the 10th anniversary of SPEARS. So again, thank you for devoting 2.5 hours of your time, your precious time this Saturday to be with us. And we look forward to welcoming you again to another event. Thank you and bye-bye.
There's a question in the chat. Somebody asked a question from the Nordic. You envisage a trip to the Nordic countries that are vibrant voices on the crisis plaguing Africa. One